Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing this morning? We had to move our live a little bit earlier, just by about an hour or so. Part of it is because, guys, we get pulled into different things and we just got to just be about the moment and do what we got to do and be out here. Shout out to everyone. I hope you guys are having a great morning with your coffee. Now, I wanted to kind of get started here verbally and vocally because I have a huge disclaimer to give. And I'm saying this because of the pattern of behavior. Some of these celebrities, big platforms, all this other stuff that kind of, when they're trying to silence little channels like us, we have to kind of give this disclaimer. Shout out to everyone at the chat. Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, good morning. Good morning, UK, Ditra, Taraji. Ooh, I'm so happy you guys are here. So thank you. Shout out to all of you. Get your coffee, get a pen and paper. We're about to get started. But before we get started, I'm going to show you guys a little something because this is the way in which this man maneuvers. And we have to be 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps ahead before anybody. This is just what we're going to do right now. All right. I'm going to show you guys my screen. So here is one of the channels here called That's So Bold. Shout out to them. Shout out to Black Tea Blog as well. That's So Bold. Go check out their channel. They got a lot of great celebrity content as well as Black Tea Blog, high quality stuff. So I'm starting here because That's So Bold wanted to report on French Montana. And they got a little message from French that said, delete it or get your account deleted, and my team is suing you for false information. That's the way this man moves. That's the message that they got. So this little message right here was actually a screenshot that an alleged victim by the name of Sarah Kamilla, which I don't know if you guys have heard of her, which we'll talk about her here in a minute. She sent out to everyone to kind of make them aware. It's the truth. Don't mind him. He's getting his day in court soon. Heads up, okay? And so, of course, this is a disclaimer. What we're doing today is for educational purposes and all things that are alleged and for the public media to review. And what we're going to be talking about today isn't really anything foreign to French Montana. I don't know why he calls himself Montana. If anybody can give me the history as to how he picked up his name, please let me know because I'd like to know a little bit about that. Just educate me on this piece. So we're going to start. I want to show you guys something. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. And if you know the answer, put it on the chat. What does French Montana and Charlemagne have in common? What do they have in common? Does anybody know what these two people have in common? I'm going to show you what they have in common, okay? I'm going to show you what they have in common right now.
Donkey today for Monday, January 14th goes to my guy, French Montana. Let me be clear, French is my guy. But Donkey today does not discriminate. Now, on Saturday night, French Montana was leaving the LA Coliseum after the Rams game, and he got ran up on by TMZ, and they asked him about the situation concerning America's favorite pedophile, allegedly, R. Kelly. Always got to say allegedly because that guy loves to sue. French was asked about R. Kelly, and this was his response.
He already told you my mind was telling me no.
Where you at?
And my body.
He did say that.
Yeah, he warned us.
So you kind of always knew?
Yeah, man. I just think we don't let nobody, have their legendary moments, man. I feel like they did Michael Jackson like that. They did R. Kelly like that. All the greats went down like that, man. Let somebody enjoy their legacy, man. Whatever happened, man.
Now, artists, comedians, public figures have to be smarter when talking to these outlets who have these on-the-street camera people. I don't care if it's TMZ, Baller Alert, whoever. When you're coming out of a venue and you see them, you don't have to make a statement, especially when it comes to topics as serious as the Robert Sylvester Kelly situation. And please, if you are under the influence of any drugs or alcohol, do not talk to these people. Sounds like French was slurred a little bit if you ask me. Yep. Now, if you listen to the breakdown of this French Montana audio, it starts off fine. Quick little joke at R. Kelly's expense. I know. People don't like R. Kelly jokes because people feel like you're making light of the situation, so I understand. But then he starts talking about R. Kelly's legendary moments. French, it's hard to appreciate R. Kelly's legendary musical moments when the art that R. Kelly made is a direct reflection of his crimes. And a person like R. Kelly Kelly can't enjoy their legacy when they have used the power and influence of that legacy to manipulate and cause trauma to so many people. Now, this whole statement from French is pretty bad, but this is where he really messed up. This last line right here.
Whatever happened, man.
French, I know you ain't worried about nothing.
Nigga, I ain't worried about nothing.
But when it comes to things like statutory rape, abuse of women, you can't simply say whatever happened, because you wouldn't feel like that if it was a woman you loved. Now, French has cleared it up. He posted on Twitter, let me be clear. My heart is with the victims. I never thought the people I looked up to as a kid who sang and danced and gave me hope to become a superstar would become drug addicts, child molesters, and rapists. I am hoping we as a culture create better leaders. We need them. Great statement, but sadly the cleanup is never as loud as the mess. But that's a great statement. See what happens when you actually worry about things, French?
Nigga, I ain't worried about nothing.
Okay, maybe you're not worried, but when you're home and you've had time to think about the question, see how clearer and more focused the answer is? Every public figure in their team needs to remember one thing when they have these cameras in front of them. Measure twice, cut once, and by all means, don't measure at all when you're drunk. Please let the Hamiltons give French Montana the biggest hee-haw.
You are the donkey of the day. You are the donkey of the day. Hee-haw.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you regret in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
All right.
That's all.
Ooh, the hypocrisy, huh? Well, what they have in common is that they both have been donkeys for the day, to the Breakfast Club, whatever. Anyways, so I thought it was interesting as we were looking into French Montana, that clip kind of came up, and I'm like, well, isn't this just interesting? The hypocrisy that occurs in Hollywood and all the bullshit that people tend to do and get away with, right? Yeah, Lizzie Mack, we as a culture, he's not in the culture, is he? Right. And I mean, the man says the N-word again. He's been making music, I believe, since 2007. I was able to find out some information as far as his citizenship. So he is an American citizen. I believe he obtained it sometime in 2015. So someone I believe it was a baby girl, had asked about his citizenship because we don't have any type of extradition program. Of course, she's already thinking like we're thinking, if he's able to get criminally charged, can he run away and escape? That's kind of where our mind went. And I mean, he's an American citizen, so that shouldn't necessarily be an issue. After 20 years of not being a citizen, he was able to become a citizen. But anyways, we will start with this disclaimer. Again, Charlemagne, the audio has been altered. There's music. It is being used for educational purposes. We've altered some of the scenes and stuff to provide the message that needs to be given, right? Just throwing that out there. So we're going to start here. And if you guys have seen the Tasha K interview with the alleged victims, we're going to touch that a little bit. But before I kind of get to that point, I want to give you a little bit of context, because it's kind of interesting to know this piece about French Montana and his people as far as like the history, because he does have a case out there civilly that was filed alleging the sex assault, sex abuse, and all that other stuff. So we found some information about that. We also looked at the victims, the alleged victims now, and we're able to pull up some info. Now, respectfully, of course, one of the things that Tasha K asked for us content creators not to release her information from Patreon. Of course, we're not going to do that here. We have some photos that have been, again, altered, but no actual live footage. So Tasha doesn't have to worry about that with us in this channel. So we're going to respect that, right? Because the lady, she hustled for her information. Shout out to her. All right. So I told you guys, this guy's likes to, tell people to remove his stuff. Here's an example of that. Give me 1 second. 1 second. All right. And here we go down. I showed you guys a little bit of that clip that we saw. So we're going to get into these legal cases. It's actually only one legal case that we were able to capture. And I'm going to try to zoom out a little bit because I don't want it to be so blurry that nobody can see it. So currently, there was a case filed in 2020 and it was a civil lawsuit. And the events occurred allegedly sometime in March 2018. Okay. And this is a complaint for damages. And so then one of the violations of the civil codes, and we'll go through this, right? But the first one that we see there is assault and battery. Okay. That's number one. Number two, sexual battery civil code. And there's the code. Number three, for violation of Civil Code 51 and Civil Code 52B. So those violations, we noted them on the side, as you can see on my notes. Part of it is because we have to kind of define them. It doesn't really say what they are, but they're the codes from California. And basically, the first one, the 51, is a code of equity, okay? And then the 52B is a constitutional statutory right, have been interfered by threats, coercion. So one of the things that kind of got me to think, because this is a Jane Doe alleged victim, so they don't want to disclose her information. We have to be respectful of that. We're not going to get a lot of information from this, petition. She's Jane Doe. But one of the things that kind of struck me was that I wonder, and maybe this is just an idea, just a prediction. I wonder if this person wasn't either an intern or an assistant or something to do with the company, or was she in prison during this time that this happened to her? It kind of made me wonder why they went into these two codes specifically. All right, number 4 is intentional infliction of emotional distress. Number 5, negligent hiring, supervision, and retention. Didn't I just say work? I'm pretty sure I said something about work. Pretty sure. Number 6, negligence. So as we were looking a little bit into the history, allegedly there's another article out there that says that an intern was also had come out about being sexually abused, harassed by Montana and his group of people. But there was no actual court into that. It was just a regular traditional blog. So we didn't really want to pull that and say this is what happened, right? But I'm kind of wondering if this is the pattern of behavior as it pertains to his employees. Maybe this happened in his corporation. I'm not really sure. The other thing we looked into is, so French Montana's real name is Karim Kharbouch. I think that's how you say his last name. But there's another individual that's named on this petition by the name of Mansour. I think his last name, I hope I don't butcher it, but Bennouna, I think that's how you say that. Anyways, we're just going to try that out. God forbid I get the name wrong. So Mansour is a name that I thought was interesting, and it stood into my head because I remember that him and the Koch boys had, there's a group of people that kind of travel with Montana here and there. And I just kind of wonder specifically about that name is what relation, whether it was a relative or a worker, an employee, who he was. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But one of the things, and as you can see in my notes on the side, we have Montana's, real name, location. One of the things that it struck me is that it's always in the Hidden Hills. A lot of these allegations are coming from California in the Hidden Hills, where no police reports are being filed or found, or they couldn't file up with that. And so that's what it led me to think, well, I wonder how these victims are kind of being picked up, or like how often, what patterns, as we looked at before, what patterns of behavior, what do they have in common? So Jane Doe alleged that she was given alcohol and raped during a party at the artist's home in Hidden Hills, California, 2 years ago. And we know that it's at the Hidden Hills. We know that she blacked out and was sexually assaulted, okay, while she was incapacitated. Jane Doe believed that Montana was one of the men who came in the bedroom and assaulted her. And so then the Jane Doe also accuses Mansour about, basically sexually assaulting her. And she labels him as French Montana's right-hand man. Okay. So she has been suing civilly, all right, him and the Koch boys, the records, and basically that whole area, the whole team, because there was a promotion of alcohol and drugs, and it's not the best safe environment. Also just misconduct. And so then she is alleging that she was invited back to the studios in March 28th, 2018, where they had been working and drinking, and Montana allegedly took an interest in the woman and invited her to the house in the Hidden Hills. So there was other women as well that were invited. Okay, that's what we know so far. Said, oh, does it really look blurry? I'm sorry. Let me see if I can zoom in. Thank you for the feedback on that. I hope it doesn't look too blurry now. All right. Let me know if it still looks okay. Thank you so much, Deetra, for the feedback. If you guys are having trouble with the vision or anything, let me know and I can stop and we could definitely look into it. All right. So then what we know is that she was invited back with a couple of women, and about an hour and a half later, she decided she wanted to leave, but the two men urged her to take a shot. And it was after she took that shot that she felt like she was blacking out. So she did not consent because she was incapacitated, of course. She regained her consciousness around 1:30 p.m. and realized that Mansour Bennouna was holding her and rubbing against her. Okay, that's the right-hand man of French Montana. She had pain in her pelvis, and she believed she had been raped while intoxicated, according to the lawsuit. She left the house and went to a Kaiser Permanente hospital in Panorama City for a rape kit. The suit states which confirmed the presence of semen. She says she also went to the police. So she also went to the police, guys, and that was kind of the question. Well, do we have a report? Where's this report at? What's going on? So one of the things I like to do anytime and of course you hear me say, what? Where's the police? We don't have a copy of that. And obviously he doesn't have any criminal charges because the man is, she's filing what? This is a civil suit. This is not a criminal suit or anything. So one of the things I really wanted to understand, and as I'm looking at the petition here at the paperwork, I like to look up who these people are, right? So if it's Karim, aka French, and then who this other person is. And as we're looking through the paperwork, we start searching this guy, Mansour, and we found out he has a PPP loan. Look at that. PPP loan. So I'm not really sure how the right hand, maybe it's for his own independent business outside of French Montana. But the way I understand is this guy travels with him fairly closely. They team up. They do different things. He's part of the entourage. My understanding, allegedly. So why does he need a PPP loan? Maybe he has an independent business. I don't know. But this is what I thought. It said, other general government support as an industry. And this is all in San Diego, California, which a lot of his stuff is located in that area. And you guys, this is a pretty unique name, right? The guy, I believe, is 45 years old. I don't know too many of these, names out there. So just kind of giving you a heads up as to why it's not a far stretch to say that this is probably the same person that is traveling with French. But he did get a loan. Okay. And there's the bank name and all that. When it was approved, February 10, 2021 for the amount. And I believe the label was payroll, to make payroll. So I'm not really sure if this man's just kind of like part of the entourage and he has a side business and what he does. That's as much as it goes as far as giving us information about who that person is. But the Jane Doe is alleging that she was victimized by both of them. Okay. And it sounds like, based on just the petition itself, that this was a work environment for this person. Or maybe she was invited to do stuff as an intern. Like I said, there's information out there that has not been vetted. So allegedly, we are going to take that with a grain of salt until we know otherwise. Or it could be that person is this Jane Doe. That's as much as we know right now. All right, so we're going to talk about these new allegations, and we're going to fly and make sure. I'm going to try to zoom out a little bit. So Sarah Kamilla, she actually has a YouTube channel. You guys can go check her out. This one right here, this little video that says sharing my story, is the one that came out where she provided receipts, and it was very much, for me, I don't know why she would be lying about something like that. For me, just the information and the way in which she shared it really let me know that she was really going out there and making sure that people understood the predatory behavior of French Montana. Again, allegedly. But at the same time, she has her own following. She is a stripper. She is in the adult industry. That's her thing, and that's fine. But, she has been victimized. And she was able to interview. She was one of the first interviews with Tasha. And I thought it was interesting because she is very matter of fact as far as like the events. So, and she also provides those receipts in there. So go check it out. And she's right about the number. When she released this little video, it wasn't up in the huge numbers or anything as it pertains to the allegations. It kind of just started slowly climbing. As you can see, she only has, and I'll read it to you if it's too blurry, but it's 57K views as of this screenshot that we took of her page. So Tasha K did interview her on Patreon. And so you guys, if you're not on Patreon, you'll have to pay. I don't know if Tasha will be releasing this on YouTube. I know she was debating about it. I know she was having conversations with her team about it because of some of the allegations are pretty graphic. And I'm sure she's probably going to have to cross her T's and dot her I's and everything to make sure that she's able to share some of this info. All right. So the other interview was with this woman by the name of Coral. Okay. And Coral, I believe that's her. Yeah, it was Coral, not Cora, Coral. So she shared some information. I think if you guys had watched Tasha before she released this on Patreon, Tasha shared some hesitation about this victim. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't necessarily think that it wasn't because she didn't believe her or anything. It's because some of us naturally, okay, if you're hearing information for the first time, what our brain tends to do, it's like you want to understand where to put this information into a compartment if you don't know the pattern of someone's behavior. So this lady is alleging she works in corporate. She doesn't want her face out or anything like that. Of course, she's worried. But according to this lady, she had her, she went to the bathroom and was wearing a romper, and she was there. She swears that she had locked the door and that French came into this bathroom, and this was at a celebrity house, okay? And so then she didn't say this right away. She said this a little bit afterwards, but apparently she was intoxicated. This was at an after party, a celebrity, okay? Or someone, a socialite or something to that effect. And what she says is that French got into this room and into this bathroom, and she turns around trying to tie her stuff after being done going to the bathroom. She swore that she locked the door and he came in there. And when she turned around, he was already wearing a condom, ready to go down. And so those, the events, right? And so I guess allegedly this victim didn't really know kind of how to react and felt like she was pinned, was negotiating with French about, well, maybe I'll give you head instead of doing this, right? And so it kind of became a little bit of a weird event, right? And I would say weird event for her because I think that she's probably had to come to terms with what has happened. And I could tell Tasha, even by her face, which I could tell she really struggled keeping a poker face. That's just my thought. I'm not surprised because after you hear so many stories, you either become desensitized or you figure out what to do with your initial reaction. And I think Tasha wasn't necessarily expecting this story. And so she didn't really know how to take it. And it wasn't so much that she didn't believe her. I'm starting to feel like maybe the events didn't quite make sense because, again, she didn't initially say she was intoxicated. She brought that on later. So it was one of those things where she felt like easily people can discredit her as a victim because of the condom thing, right? I don't know. I will leave that up to everyone's judgment. Feel free to watch that interview. Again, I don't know if she's going to release this to the general YouTube public, but I would suggest that you go check her out. The other thing too is I felt personally, it sounds like she really hesitated coming out. There were several text messages that Sarah Kamilla had released for the public. And I found one that Sarah had posted. Okay, not text messages. I'm sorry, messages like DMs. And it totally matched the story that this girl was telling. And I'm going to show you those right now. So this is one of Sarah Camilla had posted this up on her Instagram, right? And she had done like a little scroll thing, just to kind of put all these messages together. And she says that once she released her video, that she started getting messages from a lot of alleged victims. This one says, "Hey, this also happened to me in Hidden Hills in 2018. He followed me into the washroom, pretended to go pee while I was washing my hands, and ripped my romper. Tans forced me to bend over. It was fucking awful. I'm so happy you spoke up on this because I've been terrified to come out on my story for years." This right here, the romper piece, is what Coral is saying she wore and that French had ripped off. So I'm assuming, and I could say that this is probably very much her message, and likely Sarah connected her to Tasha, and this is how maybe the alleged victims are coming out. Okay, so just throwing this out there. I found another additional to this message. I think it was meant to be added to it. This me literally running out of Abel's place with ripped rompers, and I jumped the fence because I didn't want to tell anyone what happened. Left before they could open the gate. I was upset and I did not have drinks, and I did have drinks, but it was so effed up. And then she responds, "Hey babe, oh my God, this is insane. It's so many girls. What a effing psycho." He says, "I am so sorry it happened to you. My friend follows you on YouTube and came across your video and brought it forward to me as I told her about it 3 years ago. She noticed the similarities of the bathroom scenario, and I can't believe he did the same thing to many women. It's effing disturbing. I've kept quiet so long thinking no one ever would believe me, what I was saying. Truly, I can't comprehend this sick man is." And then it stops. There's no more information after that. So in her interview with Tasha, she talks about wearing a romper. It was ripped. I think, don't quote me on this, but she might have shown Tasha a picture of the ripped romper. She also talked about jumping over a fence. She also talked about getting on the wrong Uber with her friend, and then that the friend that was with her, they had a fallout because allegedly the friend might have been sleeping with him as well. I mean, there's just so many details to this event that I'm telling you, I had to take notes as I was hearing. And I also had to go back and think of logically she's intoxicated. She's not saying that anybody put anything in her drink. So the whole bathroom thing totally matches what Sarah Camilla had alleged in her video. And again, you're going to have to go watch her video so you get a sense of what is up with the patterns. Okay. All right, so then we're going to go to the next victim. Let's see. So this victim, her name is Kayla Rose. And Kayla Rose, I got to tell you guys something. Kayla Rose, as soon as the Sarah Camilla video came out, Kayla Rose did one of her own. And it's been removed since. And part of the reason why it's been removed, I believe, my understanding is that her attorney told her to remove it because they were looking into it. This is the last victim, and it was the most graphic victim. Well, not graphic victim, but graphic events. A lot of things that Kayla Rose shared were very graphic. Now, on this YouTube video, which, by the way, she did remove it. We work overtime, guys. We work overtime. We were able to get some of that footage. Okay. So we were able to really just match some of the information that she shared with Tasha to what she had initially alleged before she had removed it, basically. And so the thing about this alleged victim, okay, and again, thinking about how the series of events, how they recount them, how they're saying things, when you are a victim, you never you're going to say things as they are, whether they're politically correct or not, as they land for you, because your perception is your reality. Okay. So anytime you're working with the victim, you never want to stop them from talking. You want to hear them out. And then later on, okay, you review the information and then allow yourself to be consumed by the events, right? So that's why we have to be, and I've said this before in other videos, we have to be very careful when we talk about victims or to a victim, because their perception is reality, right? It is not our job to discredit them. It's our job to hear the story and then kind of put the pieces together, if that makes sense. And that's really the approach that we got to take here, right? At the end of the day, so Kayla Rose, I thought was an interesting victim, and I was able to capture some of her footage from the time that she initially received it or released it to YouTube, and this is what it looks like. You're not going to find this video anymore. You're not. Her attorney said, hey, you got to remove it, and so she did. Okay. However, one thing that Kayla says, and I very much believe this, okay? French, Montana, I want to call him Karim Montana, which is totally not his name, but Montana, it seems like there's this targeting of women that work in the adult industry. So Sarah works in, she's a stripper, and you know what? She's very open about it. But I'm going to say this. It seems like that seems to be the highest level of targeted, victims in terms of sexual offenses, right? Because of the exposure. That doesn't mean it's okay. It means that they're at higher risk. So Kayla Rose has an OnlyFans, okay? She is kind of out there with her image and stuff, and that is how she conducts her business. And we got to respect that. Whether you like it or not, we got to respect that. And we should not say you deserve to be a victim, because it's not like that. Okay. At the end of the day, though, with her story, and I could totally see an attorney, and a lot of people coming back and saying, well, they're strippers. So who cares? They still were victims. You still own your body. So if she said no, she said no, right? Anyways, so she made a statement in this video. And again, I'm not going to show it because her attorney did pull it back, and I want to be respectful of whatever they're going to find. At some point, I might, once we are able to. Okay, I'll just put that out there. But she had made a couple statements here as far as like him targeting certain women, okay, that are models or work in some type of adult industry. It sounds like other type of celebrities might have been victims as well, just throwing this out there. But the thing is about this victim is that she doesn't just name one event. She has also seen him 2 or 3 times. Okay. 2 or 3 times in different occasions. And so I kind of wonder, and just because I know that our brain kind of works a little bit different in trauma, if she's clumping certain events together because of how traumatic they were, or was she also doesn't sound like she was intoxicated or was heavily drugged or anything. So she's not necessarily alleging that that's what he's done to her. She is alleging a sex assault happened to her, but not initially, not right away. She says she was celibate when she first had her first interaction with him. So it leaves a lot of room for us to figure out what those pieces are for this alleged victim. And this is why I say I can't tell if somebody's lying right away. I don't do that. What I do is I look at patterns of behavior, and does it really make sense, right? Part of that is also looking at someone's social history to really figure out if they've shown this behavior somewhere else. If maybe because of past trauma, she might be thinking that was French Montana. I don't know. So again, I look at this very objectively, and I don't take information as face value. But I thought was interesting was Tasha. I could see in her face that she really, really struggled initially with the second victim, and I can understand why. But when you train for things like that, you kind of have to, you check yourself. You learn how to figure out what to do with your poker face. You figure out what to do with that. You just have to. Period. Yeah, so just throwing that out there. Check Tasha's, Patreon if you want to know more. Again, I don't know if she's going to release this. Check Sarah Camille's page as well. You'll see her full video there. But it's a lot of information, and we know that we have some pattern of behavior. Kayla Rose also filed a police report that we don't know what happened. It sounds like she couldn't press charges. Again, that whole situation. I know the man lives in Vegas, and I know he also has a house somewhere in California. So I don't know what his connections are, not only to the industry, but to the police force, right? Like, how do you get away with all this shit? Just throwing that out there. But let me get to your guys' comments and get some more information. What do you guys think? Deidre, I hope the screen worked okay. Yes, please hit thumbs up, share, like, subscribe. Happy Friday, Miss Kim. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Kim. Yes, my heart goes out to all the victims. These celebrities are powerful, are power hungry, and think they are entitled. Yeah, that's for sure. I definitely believe that. There's a woman on Twitter. She claimed that French did the same to here, and she have a baby from him. Type French Montana and you find her. Thank you. We'll definitely look into that. I'll make sure that one of the rabbits knows to look into that. Is she saying that the baby is French's as well, allegedly? Yeah, well, that's what you just said. She has a baby from him. Oh, gosh. I don't know. Does he have any... I don't think I've seen kids. I mean, for me, French Montana, like I said, is not someone that I followed or anything like that. I feel like, he dated Trina. I know that. And then Chloe kind of, as she usually does, comes into the lives of, people and acts like no one does anything to her. So I remember him briefly from Trina, and that's as much as I go. But definitely, I know he was dating Khloe Kardashian, and they didn't last long. Yeah, see, I knew that, but I wasn't really following that whole thing. Thank you, dance hall student. I'm going to look into that a little bit more and see what I find, okay? I appreciate you sharing that. And she posts pictures every day. Oh, okay. If you can shoot me a link, you could also put it on the community wall where I posted the link to this. Feel free to do that. That would be awesome. Or I'll have somebody else look into it without releasing her name, because I definitely want to be careful we don't dox or disclose or anybody that hasn't quite come out, if that makes sense. Yes, hit the like button. Thank you. But nobody answers her. Ooh, well, we can get things shaken over here. Okay, so if she does reach out to us, we'll definitely get things shaken. Stop jealousy, French Montana, Tony Montana. Explain yourself a little bit. I don't know what you mean by jealousy. You think we're jealous of French Montana or Tony Montana? Or do you mean he's jealous of the name? I don't know. You got to explain yourself a little bit more. But I kind of want to know what you guys' thoughts are, whether you agree or disagree. It's a lot of information, a lot of different things. Yes. He'd be at the gym. I go to inviting girls to parties. Yeah, I've heard of this too, guys. And again, Hidden Hollywood Hills. Hidden Hills is the common location. It's been out there. I don't know, man. It's like this Jeffrey Epstein crap that keeps happening, and people get away with it because they got money. Now, mind you, his right-hand man is getting a PPP loan, allegedly. I don't know how much money they really, really have, right? I mean, wouldn't you make sure your right-hand man is covered? I mean, just saying. I don't know, you guys. It's a lot of information. You guys gotta watch those interviews with Tasha K. Again, I cannot release them here respectfully because those are, from Patreon, and we definitely are not trying to get strike. Just saying. West Hills, which is 5 minutes from Hidden Hills. Yeah, that whole little area right there. And again, I don't know. It's like, if you have money, okay, if you have power and position, if your name is French Montana, Khloe Kardashian, whatever, these people, it's just, we give a lot of emphasis to a lot of these people. And I think it's interesting, even in the clip that we just played right now with, what's his name? Charlemagne. And you're going to call him a donkey of the day. You know what? It's the hypocrisy for me. It's the hypocrisy for me. And the thing is shit like this bites you in the ass. It will bite you in the ass. It always does. It just does. So whatever you try to do, it always comes out. Always. Thank you, Miss Kim. Yeah, email me. I saw your message, so I will definitely wait for that. Thank you. Appreciate it. So this is what we have so far, guys. We're going to keep looking into it. We don't want to release the video that we have of Kayla Rose. That's also very we're studying it a little bit more. We like to study things before we say, hey, we got our signature in there. That's why we take things a little bit different. Very easy. Anybody can come in here and, give their opinion and perception, and that's fine. But we kind of look into textbook to kind of figure out, the background or the history, social history, to figure out who the person is mimicking, the patterns of behaviors, who they're looking up to, what money is in between. Those hidden little things that people think usually go away. Anyways, well, I just hope you guys have a blessed weekend. We are going to be busy working here. We're working all the time, actually, but we got some other stuff coming up. And, stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend and happy Memorial Day. Bye-bye.